It was always you blocking yourself. And that is the title of a message I received on February 13th of 2020. And today is February 13th of 2026. And February 13th, because it happens to be a Friday as well, it's my lucky day, Friday the 13th. So I'm going to give you information that will make it your lucky day as well. So when I heard that this morning, I also thought about Carl Jung, because he brought us to the awareness that we have difficulty because we don't want to look at ourselves. We don't want to look at what's inside of us, that shadow work. And that's what keeps us in pain and agony individually and also collectively. And then I thought about Maya Angelou as well, because she said the greatest agony is not being able to bear the truth inside of you. And I've done so much of that. And today I have to unblock myself. So I wrote an article to give you this information, and so you'll be able to read that. And then the messages for today are called None of You has an excuse. None of you has an excuse. And as you read the messages, you will understand why I said that I received a quantum philosophy, and that philosophy can change anyone's life and change our world, basically, because we operate in consciousness, and consciousness we pass on to one another, which is what Carl Jung was talking about as well. That is the difficulty that we have individually and also collectively. Then I began to connect the periods, the galactic periods in astrological alignments of certain events that repeat themselves in our lives, but also in our world and society. And what we're meant to do is to understand those so we can evolve and create something brand new. And we each come into the world to do something a little different. I could not have told you that I was a savant, and that's how I received this information, why it was organized, and why it caused healing within me and could do the same for anyone else. And when I'm talking about healing, I'm talking about coming together, meaning owning yourself, and our world could do the same thing. I began writing that article last night before I found the rest of this information today, and that's typically how I receive information. I was never what you might think of as a regular channel in the way I received information, which is why I was not necessarily in that community for the longest time, because I was doing something a little different. The information I received was aligned with the changes occurring in our world and our world now, and which is why I knew certain things. And in 2020 is when I knew most of it, and you'll see some of that information in this article. But it also means that I have to unblock myself, because I was given something that is so tremendous that could make a huge contribution in our world and change things. When I even read that this information that I received was the greatest contribution seen to human consciousness in this lifetime, I had to integrate that into accepting who I had become, which is what we're each meant to do, unless we don't want to look, as Carl said, and I didn't want to look many times. But the fact was that my life was meant to bring to the world something that could put together science, because science was always really important to me in ways that I didn't understand, but science and spirituality and human potential. And the human potential has been demonstrated through me, which is why the other day there was a document created called the demonstration, the Wilhelm messages, because it demonstrated the changes in our world, in our consciousness, and how we can align with those to live the lives we're supposed to have. And I was given that information. There are certain things that throughout society that we sometimes aren't willing to look at and deal with, and they're always existing within us. And so what I was meant to bring was a universal consciousness into the world so that more people could understand who they are. We are moving to a period of greater unity. Now, it doesn't look that way. to many of us. But I know that it's true because that's the information that I was given. And then you'll see that it is aligned with the changes of our galaxies. Now, we're not there, but that is exactly what's going on. I just happened to receive the information beforehand. Many years ago, I started saying that I had precognitive abilities. I didn't know the extent of it at that time. We always come to understand ourselves later. That's just the way that it happens as we start to experience things. But then what we're meant to do is share that with others because that's how they can evolve and our entire planet can do the same thing. And again, we may not understand what's happening right now in our world, but Wilhelm did. And that's the information that I received. So this weekend, I'm unblocking myself. I understand that many people will not do this work because we don't want to look. And then I would hold back and not give this information to others because, we don't want to be judged, we don't want to be different, and we don't want to be seen. That's the big one. And I had that one to the nth degree, which is why I would call myself the reluctant mystic. And I didn't even know the extent of what I had. And neither do you. But now as you read the messages, you will understand more because I received this from the quantum field. I could not have known the information I was receiving in 2008 was completing a cycle. And then astrologically, it's shown that these 36-year cycle, it's been 37 for me now, but that's why I'm at the end of doing this and I'm completing this work. And I had such a wonderful confirmation of this yesterday, which you will read because one of the members of my program decided he was going to take it upon himself to just really sing the praises of this work because he wanted everyone to know how valuable it was and how it shifted his life and opened him up to things that he could not have understood before. And last night we were, several of us in the group were having this meeting and talking about it. We're always evolving in different ways, and new information is always difficult to accept. It was difficult for me to accept this is what I had developed, and I know it's difficult for others to accept what you can possibly do. But I do know what you could achieve. So enjoy the article and understand I'm going to give this now to so many more because it's far too important for me to stay hidden as it might be for you as well. Thank you so much for being here, and I'll see you real soon.